But first up is the constitutional crisis. We're in a crisis. It's caused by the coup cabal that has hijacked Congress and the House specifically for the purposes of abusing the powers entrusted to them by you, the American people, to try to take out President Trump through an illicit impeachment process. Today, this week, they held hearings about their articles of impeachment. For all the noise you heard about Russia, for all the noise you heard about Ukraine, and all the terrible things President Trump has done, they had articles of impeachment based on nothing. One article of impeachment is some vague impeachment article related to abuse of power. And then the second article of impeachment is an obstruction of justice, or excuse me, an obstruction of Congress article, because the president dared to object to their abuse of power in the House. This is the tyrannical approach of the coup cabal in the House, the Pelosi, Schiff, Nadler coup cabal. They are saying that the president's constitutional objections to their overwrought, invasive, illicit subpoenas and requests for internal White House deliberations and testimony from top White House aides requires his impeachment and removal from office. The president has every right under the Constitution and the law to object to these issues. But they say if you object, you will be punished, even though the law allows you to object. That's how outrageously abusive this impeachment process is. And of course, it's all the result of an impeachment process that provided zero due process rights to the President of the United States. That House of Representatives, they didn't let the president bring in any witnesses. They wouldn't let him question any witnesses. They wouldn't let him even present a defense effectively. Oh yeah, they said, oh yeah, you can come in, but you can't assert any privileges. You have no rights, so come on in. And of course, the president declined that invitation. And in fact, he was not really explicitly invited until they were going to impeach him. You know how outrageous it was this week? They had their own lawyers testifying. One lawyer, some anti-Trump activist from New York, who's a donor to the Democratic Party, who's now a temporary staff attorney for the Nadler impeachment coup effort, he testifies. Then he gets up, walks up, and sits on the dais and questions his colleague. When I say something is a Star Chamber proceeding, they don't even do that in Star Chamber proceedings. They didn't even go through the motions of providing due process rights to the President of the United States. There's no evidence the president did anything wrong. They are desperate to protect themselves from the consequences of their illegal behavior. Obama, Biden, Clinton, the deep state all did terrible things. Namely, the spying, the illegal spying on President Trump, the outrageous abuse of power on that. You've got Biden up to his neck in Burisma, Ukraine, Hunter Biden scandal issues. Hillary Clinton has violated the law so many ways that I've lost count, both with the emails and then with the foundation pay to play, national security crimes, all sorts of issues. And then you've got the deep state enabling and conspiring on all of that. So what better way to distract from that than to have their allies, some of whom are directly implicated in these very same crimes, to institute an illegal impeachment against the president. And you heard me say it, illegal impeachment. It's an impeachment not based on the law. It's an impeachment not based on the Constitution. It's an abuse of power. And when you abuse the constitutional powers given to you to try to remove an elected head of government, you know what I call that? I call it a coup. I call it a coup. And they say it's over, and I'm going to stand up for emphasis here. It isn't over. It is not over. You have to stand up against this coup. Call your members of Congress, 202-225-3121, 202-225-3121. Say you object. Let your views be known. Certainly, even if you would disagree with the president, let your views be known. This is an attack on your right to govern yourselves. The very notion of self-government's at issue here. You've had experts say, well, if this impeachment goes forward, presidents of different parties if the House is run by a different party from the president, they'll be impeaching them all the time. No, that won't happen. Republicans won't be impeaching Democrats. That won't be happening. This will be a new tool for the left to use often against presidents whose election they despise. And if the House doesn't stop this impeachment abuse, the Senate needs to stop this impeachment abuse. In the least, they need to bring Schiff up for accountability over his prosecutorial misconduct, his illicitly formed coup attack on President Trump through the leaking collusion with the CIA operative. He lied about that. Then he illicitly gets the phone records of the president's lawyers, publishes them. A journalist publishes them. A member of Congress publishes them. And they're going to take that garbage prosecution, that garbage impeachment that resulted, and give it a full Senate trial without having him held account? That can't happen. That can't happen. This is about our Republican form of government. This is about our Constitution. This is about your right to elect your president of your choice. And if you're a Democrat or a Republican or independent, liberal, conservative, you should be concerned about this abuse of power. I'll talk about this later. They spied on the president without basis, made up Russia smears against him. Now they're making up new smears, Ukraine smears against him, and trying to drive him from office. Outside the norms of our constitutional traditions, outside any notion of justice, outside the norms that are afforded, the protections that are afforded typically to a United States citizen. Do you hate the president that much? We have to ask ourselves. Well, those of you at least should be asking yourselves who hate him, that you're willing to destroy the Constitution to get him? That's what it looks like is going on. I encourage you to let your members of Congress know that you don't want this to happen. And in the meantime, Judicial Watch will continue with its litigation and investigations. We've got all the lawsuits that you could think of, practically speaking, on these issues, the deep state issues. We've got lawsuits on Biden's corruption. We're asking about what Schiff is up to. And yeah, we may sue. But in the meantime, we have to protect our republic. The vote is going to be next week. Are you participating in this process? They don't want you to, because they want you to believe it's already a done deal. It's not a done deal. Nothing's a done deal, thankfully, in our constitutional republic. The vote hasn't happened yet. There are many persuadables in the House, both Republican and Democrat. I doubt the Republicans are going to vote for any impeachment, obviously. And there are some Democrats who are willing to listen. It's the first time I think I've stood up to talk about something here like I did just now. But it's important. This is a tragedy and a farce that's going on. It's a bad day. It's a bad week for our constitutional republic. There is no abuse of power by the president. But there were abuses, as I say, committed against him by the Justice Department, the State Department, you name it, the FBI, the FISA courts, and of course, now the allied Democrats in the House. It was corruptly formed, is being corruptly pursued, and we have to try to stand against it.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.